This season preview is brought to you by Manscaped's brand new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. This luxurious lather cleanses and nourishes in just one step. Using coconut water, green tea, and aloe, this non-greasy daily formula is naturally hydrating and rich in antioxidants to revitalize the look and feel of your hair. So head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner from Manscaped. Take care of hair everywhere.
The San Francisco 49ers, after finishing 10-7 last season and one win away from a Super Bowl trip, they return this year with a new starting quarterback behind center in Trey Lance. They still have Jimmy G. They did not get rid of him. We talked a little bit about that during our past episodes about how interesting that move was. But Trey Lance is now the leader of this offense, we think. You bring back Deebo Samuel. There's a lot. There's a lot that happened. Can we just start off with that? There was a lot that happened with the San Francisco 49ers offense this past offseason. And maybe not like a lot, like there's like this insane amount of change, but we went through so many hoops with this Niners offense, with the Deebo Samuel stuff and then the Jimmy G stuff. It's like there was a lot. But now we have some clarity. Trey Lance is the guy. Deebo Samuel is back. This offense still returns to George Kittle. Elijah Mitchell is the now number one back in this backfield. Aaron, as a whole on this offense, what do you see the identity of it being looking like this season?
The same as it's been looking. It's going to be a run-first offense, and I don't think that changes just because you got a new quarterback, or maybe you feel like your weapons are growing another year, and Brandon Ayuk's had a really good offseason, and Deebo Samuel's back. I think it's going to be a run-first offense. I think that starts with Elijah Mitchell, and then I think it goes to a Trey Lance. But this team is built off of run and play action and creating mismatches across the middle with George Kittle, and they want to control the clock. They want to be physical, and they want to beat you into the ground until the fourth quarter. It's what they did against the Dallas Cowboys. It's what they did against the Green Bay Packers. And it's what they did most of the past 5 years against the Rams, and had the Rams on the ropes in the NFC Championship game before the Rams were able to overcome that. So this is going to be a physical football team, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. The difference now is you have a quarterback that can also be physical. Trey Lance can now incorporate his physicality into the run game, especially in the red zone. Look for the read option to be big there. Look for him to take some of those carries that Elijah Mitchell normally has in the red zone, and now those are Trey Lance's. You obviously have one of the better offensive linemen in football with Trent Williams. I think this is the exact model of the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan that it's been in the past, that it's going to be going forward. Physical, run the football first, create big plays, and get the ball in the hands of your playmakers.
Yeah, and how do you think this affects – like, how do you think this affects like the Deebo Samuel chatter this season? Obviously, in the offseason, we don't know if it was what was true and what wasn't true, but there were reports that came out and said that Deebo Samuel was not happy with his usage last year, being running the ball a lot. He wanted to get paid accordingly because of that. And there was the talk about how maybe he has a lessened role in the rushing attack this year. Do you think with now the addition of Trey Lance being more mobile, we see a lot less of Deebo Samuel and his rushing?
I don't know because I don't know what that really involved. I don't know if that was true or if that was a negotiation tactic or what. I don't think Deebo Samuel cares whether he's running the football or catching the football. I don't think that matters to him. I think it was about the money. I think he wanted to get paid, and he was using that as a negotiation tactic. I do see regression from Deebo this year. I'll be honest. I think Deebo outperformed Deebo Samuel. And I'm not saying the guy's not talented, but to go back-to-back years and do what he just did, I haven't really seen that Deebo Samuel. And now you have Trey Lance, a different type of quarterback. It's going to be used in a different way. I think he has already kind of established a connection with Brandon Ayuk. He hasn't thrown the ball to Deebo Samuel this preseason. So what kind of chemistry do they have together? I think it's going to take some time to develop that, but I don't know that has anything to do with Deebo Samuel getting carries in the backfield. I thought that was all a negotiation tactic. I don't want to be here, blah, 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 just to get paid. And he got paid, and here we are. So if they want to run him, they're going to run him. I don't think that's going to be I don't think Kyle Shanahan cares. if Deebo Samuel didn't want to be back because he was running the ball too much. Like, you're here, you're either buying into the system or you're not. And for all intents and purposes, Deebo Samuel loved being a 49er. He was kind of their leader vocally and emotionally. And I think that hasn't changed. But I do think his production will see some regression with the quarterback switch and how that offense is kind of designed and ran.
Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, what are you looking forward to most with this team? I mean, this is a defense that I feel like doesn't get a whole lot of credit for where they normally finish in the at the end of the season. They're solid defense. They're just similar to what we talked about with the Saints in our previous episodes. They're just a solid defense. They don't get all the credit of being like one of the best, but they're consistently there. What are you looking forward to most with this defense?
Well, I would argue they do. I would argue that the 49ers, yes, in a sense, they get taken for granted. But I would argue that we talk about them as one of the top defenses every single year since the Super Bowl years, really, of 2012 when Baltimore, they went through a stretch where they weren't very good because of injuries or whatever. But that's the one thing that's been pretty consistent. And again, the identity of the 49ers is the same on offense that it is on defense, which is why they are such a consistent football team when healthy. They are a physical, going to hit you in the mouth style football team. And that's what wins in the NFL. You guys know I'm not the biggest 49er fan, but I love the way they play football. I love that they are physical, and on the defensive side of the football, they have those type of players. When you talk about Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa up front, Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers in football, kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think people expected that, but he's all over the field. They got Emmanuel Mosley and Dre Greenlaw's in the middle of that defense as well, by the way. And then they go out and add guys like Charvarius Ward, who was a really, really good corner, an underrated corner with Kansas City, especially in man-to-man coverage. And when you're talking about a team, the biggest weakness on the 49ers has been their secondary, giving up big plays at inopportune times. We saw it again last year, saw the dropped interception. People got on them for dropping a pick. But at the end of the day, that's what's been their downfall. That's what's been their Achilles heel. It's been making plays in the secondary when it matters most. So you go and get a Charvarius Ward who now can play that man-to-man coverage and has that experience on a championship football team with Kansas City that's going to help that back end. I still think they're a little thin on the back end, especially at the safety position. Now, they got injuries back there. Jimmy Ward's hurt. That's going to be a big deal. And I think that's where they kind of have to look at, hopefully some of these young guys can step up in a Womack or I'm going to say butcher's name, Talanoa, Hufanga or whatever. Hufanga.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to have to step up in order for them to take that next step, because that's really what it's all about. They have the guys up front. They can create pressure. The linebackers are solid, but that back end, which has been the question mark forever, still continues to be a question mark. So can they take that next step? I don't know, but I do anticipate this as being one of the better football teams in the NFC this year, just because of the consistency in which they perform and the way they play physical football. They will always be in football games. They don't get blown out because they will out physical you. And in the fourth quarter, when teams are tired, they aren't. And that's the difference. They are the ones delivering the hurting onto people. And that's important in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think another name that you didn't even mention him being hurt. Jason Verrett is also a big piece to lose on this back end. You go like that, I think that they're going around. He has, but he's still a solid. He's still a piece. He's still a piece on the. Yeah, he's still a piece on the secondary that they're going to have to fill. I'll go to the chat here since we're live. Sleeper candidate for Nick Bosa, Defensive Player of the Year? Nope. Okay. All right.
It's not a sleeper candidate. If you're a great defensive player, you can't be a sleeper.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's go into what to watch for this season for the San Francisco 49ers. I assume I know where you'd go with this, but I'm going to send it to you anyway. You know what? I'll take it and just be obvious. Maybe you come in and do something different. But it's Trey Lance. It's got to be Trey Lance and the development of him this season. You laugh at me all the time about this. I realize I do so much with my hands and the green screen is just blocking it all. Trey Lance this year, and you laugh at me all the time when I bring up like the mental side of things. But they brought back Jimmy Garoppolo, and that is going to be a weight that the San Francisco 49ers are going to have to carry this season. If Trey Lance does bad, there's going to be times where it's going to be like, oh, should Jimmy G be brought in and this and that. How Trey Lance battles through adversity. Like normally we talk about rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks battling through adversity of maybe problems that happen in a game and then them getting another chance the next game to fix that and battle through it. But this time, this is more with Trey Lance because if he has those bad games, there might not be a next game because of Jimmy Garoppolo being right there. We've talked about this. This San Francisco 49ers team has the potential to be right back up there again in Super Bowl contention and be right back up there with the NFC Championship. They have the talent. They have the ability to be there. It was no fluke that they were there last year. So if Trey Lance struggles and they think, okay, we were right there with Jimmy G last year, why not throw him back in? That's going to be brought up during the season. So how Trey Lance handles that adversity and battles through it all, and how this coaching staff battles through that. Do they stick to their guns? Do they stay with Trey Lance all season? Like, there is going to be a lot of conversation around that Jimmy G starting area that I'm watching for this season.
I think you're on the right track, but a little misguided. I don't know that there's any controversy.
Guide me.
I don't know that there's any controversy or people are going to be, put Jimmy G in, or that's going to be a lingering conversation at all. I really don't.
For sure.
People hate Jimmy G. 49er fans do not like Jimmy G.
But they
49 doesn't matter. It's all about the fans.
People love
the
controversy.
No, but the fans are going to be what drives that conversation. Vice versa, it's fans clamoring for Trey Lance because they know Jimmy G hasn't been able to get it done, hasn't been able to get over the top. It is about Trey Lance, but you started to go there, and I thought you were going to bring it up. It's the coaching staff, but it's actually how much they unleash Trey Lance. And I brought this up, I don't know, a few weeks back. Are you going to be so cautious with Trey Lance where you don't run a full complement of your offense? And then you stunt his development, not for this year, because I don't think it matters this year. I told everybody, I think the 49ers will be less successful this year than they were last year. But in the long run, it's going to be beneficial if, it's a big if, the 49ers allow Trey Lance to run the offense and not say, oh, no, he's young. Oh, no, he's raw. Oh, no, he doesn't know how to do this yet. And Jimmy G did. Just open up the playbook. Let him go through his growing pains. Let him make his mistakes. And in the end, next year, when he's now a third-year player, he is going to have so much growth as a result of that because he'll have seen defenses. He'll know hot reads. He'll know how to get out of situations that he wasn't in before. Like, that's the growth you have to see from him. You have to allow him to go in and make mistakes. And it is going to cost you. It's going to cost you games. It's going to cost you maybe a chance to win a championship this year. But let's be honest. I don't know that anybody, I mean, there are people picking the 49ers to go out and win with Trey Lance because of how talented he is. If you allow him to explore that talent, there is a chance that you have found something special. And that special could be a Super Bowl champion. Like with the team they have built right now, it is only about the quarterback position. They have proven that. They can go out and get to an NFC championship game and a Super Bowl with their current roster. If Trey Lance has a magical second year, a Patrick Mahomes second year, by allowing him to be free and play like him, they could be the Super Bowl champions, very much like the Patrick Mahomes of year 2, where he went 50 touchdowns and got them to an AFC title game and all that stuff. So I think it's there, but it's really, is Kyle Shanahan going to trust Trey Lance enough to do that? If he tries to rein him in and third and longs and they're handing the ball off because they don't trust him to make a play, that's going to stunt his growth. And then next year, when he's in those situations and he finally is able to throw the football and he makes those mistakes, you're going to be mad at him because he hasn't seen it before. He hasn't done it before. So I say let it happen this year, and then next year you look for something bigger from him.
Let Lance cook. Let Lance cook. Let Lance cook. Let Lance cook. That's going to be the chant for the season when we get through week 5 and they haven't let Lance cook yet. Let's go into the schedule, though, for the San Francisco 49ers. And when you look at it here, it's not, I mean, when you have to play the Rams twice a year and you have to play the Chargers, this is not an easy schedule for the San Francisco 49ers. What is your storyline? What's the storyline when it comes to the schedule for the San Francisco 49ers this year?
I don't know. I don't think it's that I don't want to say it's not that difficult of a schedule, but there's some good pockets of this schedule here that's going to bode well for them. Obviously, you get 2 nice wins back to back the first part of the season with the Bears and the Seahawks. Excuse me. Then go to Carolina, Atlanta. I know those games are on the road, but it should be nice and easy. So say you lost every tough game in the first half of the season, you're 4-4 and you're sitting nice going into the back half. And I think the stretch that point that is really kind of standing out to me is they have I don't know if this is right. That can't be right.
What?
That's wild if that's right. Is that right? Is this schedule on the right hand side right? Are
Yeah.
all of those home games 5 in a row?
Let me triple check our doc.
6 out of 7.
I'm gonna check our doc, but if this is what we used on the show.
That's wild. Like that's a beautiful schedule. If I'm the 49ers, like that, to go home after the bye week, you go 5 straight home games. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I don't know if we're right or not, but
let's see here. 49ers, yeah. After the bye, it's
no. They're at Arizona. That's the one that needs to be changed. Okay, so they're home to the Chargers at Arizona.
Okay, and then the
3
rest
straight home games are right.
Okay.
I was like, that's 5 straight home games is wild to me. But still, that's a nice pocket of the schedule. You get 5 of 7 at home after going 4-4. If you can win, 5 of those games, you're already sitting 9-10 wins before we get to the final stretch of the season, the last 3 or 4 games. So I think the Niners have a favorable schedule overall, and I think it's going to breed some wins for them.
That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird that you say that they have a favorable schedule, because where do you have their what's their record at the end of the season?
Yeah, so I have them going 9-8. And again, this is about Trey Lance. This is about, I told people I think they take a step. I mean, they went 9-8 last year, I believe.
Yeah.
10-7.
They went 10-7 last year, so this would be technically a step back.
So I told people before, I think they take a step back in the win column. But in the long run, I thought it would be more beneficial for them. I thought that they could end up being in the Super Bowl a year from now. So I have them at 9-8, and I have them getting off to a really good start. I have them actually going 5 of their first 6 games winning, and then a couple losses to the Kansas City and the Rams, and then going 4-5 down the stretch, winning against the Chargers, the Saints, Miami at home, but losing to Tampa Bay, Arizona, at Seattle, division game. That could be the toss-up game. That could be the 10th win. And then at Vegas. So I think 9-8, 10-7, somewhere around there is where the 49ers finish in 2022.
I have them going 8-9. That's my final. And I think one of the wins that you had there, I think you had them beating Carolina at Carolina. I have them losing that game. I even had them losing that game before Baker Mayfield came to be the Panthers quarterback. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable with that and choosing that. But I have them at 8-9, and I think that, like, you're talking about this, like, if Trey Lance, they let him cook, they let him develop, and this and that. Like, I don't know if it's going to be that perfect this year for the 49ers. Like, I don't see the 49ers making all the right decisions on the path of Trey Lance's development. I see some hiccups along the way this season for the 49ers.
But what are those hiccups? You can't just say that without
that they
what,
don't
what
let.
Those hiccups?
I think that they don't let Trey Lance cook as much as we want them to. I don't think that leash is going to be that long. I think there's going to be, maybe we don't see Jimmy Garoppolo this season, but either way, I think that the mental game of everything and that burden of Jimmy Garoppolo still being there is going to affect him. And shit, maybe they do throw in Jimmy G, and then that throws them off. I mean, going back to the schedule here. I mean, outside the bye, if they're 4-4, I mean, I don't think people are going to be clamoring for Jimmy G there, because the schedule that you have there, if you lose to Denver, you lose to the Rams, KC and the Rams again, like, it's understandable. But outside of that, I mean, I think if he comes out of the bye, loses to Los Angeles, loses to Arizona, I think that we're really starting to consider putting Jimmy G in at week 12 against the Saints to try and get this ship back on track so they can make the playoffs. And even if they don't bring in Jimmy G there, I still think the conversations are there to where it's starting to affect this team. I don't know if I just, like, nothing is perfect. There's always that one team that has just like just an imperfect schedule. Nothing is ever perfect. And I just see that with the San Francisco 49ers here.
What would be, I guess there would be no, I don't know if I'm Trey Lance from a mental perspective, since you love the mental side of things so much. From a mental perspective, the team traded up and drafted you high. You sat your first year behind Jimmy Garoppolo. With Jimmy Garoppolo still, they went to the NFC Championship game, all the way to the championship game. And with Jimmy Garoppolo still on the roster, they said, you're our starter. What meant, I don't like, they've already made their decision. Trey Lance knows he's the guy. There's no, then Jimmy G's sitting behind me. He doesn't care.
If there was none, obviously these are just reports. We don't know if this was true or not. But Albert Breer came out and said immediately after the Jimmy G re-signing and the restructuring of his contract, Trey Lance was reportedly a little annoyed in the immediate aftermath of the Garoppolo restructure. Like, it's just these little things in my head.
That's so fake. That is so fake. He came out with a statement. He's like, hey, Jimmy G was there to help me last year when I was sitting behind him, or I was trying to help. Somebody coming out and saying he was a little annoyed, that means you had a conversation with him and he told you he was a little annoyed. That's what that means. I hate reports like that. Why would Trey Lance, who just been named the starter, come out and say, yeah, I was a little annoyed they brought back Jimmy G?
Well, I could see him saying that. Like, I mean, like, being honest,
there's no way he's saying that.
There
is zero chance he said that.
All right. I just think that there's something that it will be there this season when they start the season and they go, what I have them 4-4 outside the bye, and then I think they lose those 2 games against the Chargers and the Cardinals. Like, I think that's when you start seeing the morning talk shows really just start
That's fine if you see morning talk shows that do that. Yeah, media will do that.
And that's why I think
affect Trey Lance.
That's why I think that there will be some chatter that affects Trey Lance. And maybe the 49ers stick to their guns. I just don't see a perfect season for the Niners and sticking with Trey Lance all season and just saying, okay, like, he's our guy, and there not being any controversy, there not being any chatter, there not being anything that affects Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think we disagree on it. You think everybody's mentally weak. I think that's what you're saying. Like, you're saying that he can't deal with, because you're saying it's not about the chatter. The chatter is going to happen no matter what. Chatter's happening right now, whether Trey Lance or Jimmy G should start. It's about how it impacts Trey Lance. So you're saying that that's going to impact him, and you think the mental side of everybody is the weaker side. Like, how do you handle stuff like that?
I think a young quarterback, and you can. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out and just say this now. Young quarterback, small school, not as much like big time feel experience. I think that's what plays into this whole. That's another factor that plays into it. We can agree to disagree on this one.
Are you questioning Trey Lance's mental?
Yes, I am.
Based on what though? It's just a whim.
It's me going out. It's just getting those type of. I'm very spiritual. I'm just very spiritual.
I'm just wondering, what from Trey Lance have you seen that gives off that vibe? Because I see a very confident guy.
We've seen it before, and I don't want to compare him to like a Jared Goff or whatever, but like, we've seen like these, not Jared Goff, like a Carson Wentz. We've seen it with Carson Wentz. North Dakota State just not preparing you well enough to come in and be able to handle this adversity. He's never faced this type of adversity before. There's 2 sides of this coin. Both sides can equally be said here, that either you don't trust it because of this, the X, Y, and Z, or you trust it because of X, Y, and Z. I think both sides can be played here, and I lean more towards the side that I have the concern of Trey Lance not being able to prepare himself, or to be prepared for the chaos that could ensue this season for the Niners if things were to go a little wrong. Let's go on.
Wait, I want to address that, because I think it was important. I was waiting for you to say Carson Wentz. I was like waiting for you to.
Well, there you go. Layup, dunk.
Say that. No question about being successful. And then when he got hurt, Nick Foles came in and won a Super Bowl. That's a different conversation. If Jimmy Garoppolo comes in because Trey Lance is hurt, leads them to a Super Bowl, and then you want to start talking about questioning whether he should be the starter or not and mental and all that stuff. But we have already seen Jimmy Garoppolo. They actually benched Jimmy Garoppolo for Trey Lance, not vice versa.
And then what happened? Well, but no, sorry. I mean, last year we did get to see Trey Lance a little bit, and then they still ended up sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo, and then he ended up taking him to the NFC Championship. It's still there.
We did not see Trey Lance last year play quarterback.
I'm pretty sure Trey Lance played a game last year for the Niners. Wasn't that
he came in packages to run the football and run plays?
No, Trey Lance had a game last year, didn't he?
What?
Hold on here. I could have swore Trey Lance had a game last year, like an actual game.
Yeah, I mean, he probably played 2
games. Yeah, he played against Arizona. He went 15 for 29, 15 of 29.
Yeah, but
then played again in week 16.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying we've seen. I'm not saying we've seen. I digress. Agree to disagree.
I'm trying to get to where you're going with that.
I'm just saying, you brought up the Nick Foles thing and how he came in and still ended up winning a Super Bowl. Trey Lance played it's not like Trey Lance when he played last year, he lit up the world. Like he didn't, like his first game against Arizona, 15 of 29, terrible completion percentage, under 200 yards, not many rushing yards. Like he had 89 rushing yards. He had a decent game rushing, but I just don't.
I don't get what your point is.
My point being is
I'm not
that
understanding what the point of that
Jimmy G came in and took this team to an NFC Championship. He didn't come in. He was the quarterback. He was the
and a Super Bowl.
And a Super Bowl. That matters.
And he got benched. That's my point. Is they benched him, that guy that took him to a Super Bowl, that took him to an NFC Championship game. The year before said, you know what, you're not our guy.
I also want to throw out there, too, in this imperfect season that I think that happens with San Francisco, let's not forget, may we not forget the draft and us thinking that Kyle Shanahan didn't actually want Trey Lance and then he wanted Mac Jones instead.
That part I agree with.
So there's just a lot of things that are happening in my mind.
But let's be honest. You also said you didn't trust Trey Lance, and that has not wavered because you're showing it right now.
Correct. I don't trust Trey Lance. You are right. I don't trust Trey Lance. I mean, I could be wrong. I am wrong about 95% of things I do in my life. This could add up to, this could be one of the many things I am wrong about. But I'm sticking to my guns.
I don't think it's a right or wrong thing.
You're right. It might not be a right. Let's get into our prop bets. Let's start wrapping up the San Francisco 49ers talk because we still have another team to talk about. Their prop bets here, they're locked and loaded bets. Under 9.5 wins at plus 135. Over the numbers on this, I really wish I could have simplified it, but I had to be accurate with the numbers. Pretty much over 3,500 Trey Lance passing yards is at plus 105. And then at over 1,250.5 all-purpose Debo yards at minus 105. I will throw in, if you like, the rushing yards for Trey Lance this year is at over 574.5. Is at minus 115. That's actually even both ways. It's over under 574.5. Both of them are at minus 115. Which is your locked and loaded bet for the Niners?
I'll take the under on the Debo yards. And there's a number of factors here. Number one, I don't think he runs as much. Excuse me. I'm dying.
He's dying, folks. He's dying.
Told you guys I wasn't feeling well.
Live death.
I think the under on because I don't think he runs as much. And despite what people think or what they thought they saw last year, he didn't run as much as they actually, as it seemed, right? We were talking about a guy who still had 365 yards rushing. So it wasn't like he ran a whole lot. He was just very, very efficient with it. But then the receiving yards of 1,400, I don't think he's anywhere close to that with Trey Lance at quarterback. I think Trey Lance is young. Trey Lance is going to have growing pains. It's going to be rough for him to throw for games with 300 yards and all that stuff, in my opinion. And I also think he has a really good connection with Brandon Ayuk, and you still have George Kittle there. So I mentioned before, this is a run-first team. I don't think that changes. I think Deebo Samuel under 1,200 yards total is my lock bet.
There you go. All right. And I will I think that's just the easy money there. That would be my lock as well. I wasn't crazy about not to not going to do it. That's my locked and loaded bet. We will be breaking down our preseason power rankings and our final preseason power rankings on our final off-season show, basically, of our season previews. That's coming out on Thursday, I believe. Is that what we're doing on Thursday?
No, that's Wednesday.
Wednesday, got it. Wednesday, you will see our bingo. Wednesday, you will see our full off-season predictions, our full season predictions, I should say, and we will unveil our full preseason power rankings.